What's up? What's up? It's day 542 of being type 2 diabetes free, and I want to talk about finding your why today. It's also June 15th, 2023, and I want to share with you guys how I've taken my A1C and done something a little different. So let's jump into it. Let's start off with the A1C. I actually used my CGM, which is right here under my arm, with the interface and all the information it has on it. And I found this pretty interesting. And what I've come up with is my A1C is actually down to 4.64%. So I'm in optimal health according to my CGM, and using a mathematical equation to produce this using AI. This is what we've come up with. Now I asked it to, like, how is this a little bit more efficient than, say, a regular A1C from a blood labs? And it said that it basically has a A1C from blood labs is kind of like a blurry photo because it's taking an average of 3 months, but it never really shows you the highs, the peaks that you have, and it never shows you the lows that you have, and especially the morning fasting, what's going on while you're sleeping all night. So it's a crazy, crazy thing that basically I'm starting something new, I believe, here, where I think we're replacing the A1C from a blood lab. This is far more accurate because it explained it to me like, basically, if you're using a CGM and using the math equations, which is completely accurate, it's like the A1C from a blood labs is a blurry photo. Getting it from an A1C shows you every single marker 24/7. So it's like watching a crystal clear video, like 24/7. Made total sense. And also, what it's telling me is that an A1C from a blood lab is only measuring your sugars that are, stuck to your blood cells on average. It's not using your fasting blood sugars and things like that, where the CGM is showing all of that data. But it said it's like getting the average, like if you had a week, right, of weather. I actually, like, explain it to me like I'm fucking dumb. And it was like, well, if you had a week of weather and there was a day where it got, triple digits, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it actually, a thunderstorm came in and it dropped down to 60 degrees. What it does is gives you the average, right? It never showed you the highs, the lows, the thunderstorm, the cloudy day, the rainy day, the sunny days. It just kind of gives you an average and says, so if you were asking, um, a blood labs, right? It's the same thing as what we're equating here towards weather. It would say, well, your average weather was probably, if it was between 60 and 100 degrees, it would probably say, well, your average weather was like 80 degrees. But it doesn't show the storm, it doesn't show the lows and the highs. So I thought this was pretty fantastic and it really exciting. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to dive, if you guys want me to do a deep dive into this and explain it a little further. But it's pretty much, that's the concept, and I'm like really stoked about it because it just feels so much more accurate, right? If so, to give you guys perspective too, if you were going to do an A1C, if you really wanted to find out if you were type 2 diabetic or where your blood sugars are, you couldn't just rely off an A1C test, an HbA1c. You would have to get the HbA1c. You would want to get a fasting glucose test, and you would also want to get a fructose test to find out what your sugars are in your body, right? And you probably want to do this several times as far as the fructose test, so you get an average, a better average, right? So yeah, the fructose test is going to tell you only what's happening at that exact moment. Also, the fasting uh, sugar, blood sugars, if you took it, say in the morning, that just gives you that one day. So they kind of have to average it out to find out what exactly is happening with your blood sugars. So I don't know. It makes total sense to me. Let me wipe you guys off here. I think I got a good thumbprint on there. Yeah, that looks a lot clearer. So yeah, that's what I've been working on today. And then also, I just want to move forward. One cleaning house thing here is that one of you, not all of you, have mentioned that you don't really care to see my CGM results on the interface to my blood sugars for the whole entire day. Some people are more interested on what did I eat, maybe some more tips. So I do the CGM. I don't even have to wear it anymore. I just find it interesting doing things like this HbA1c testing thing here. But I do it mainly for you guys, for trust, and for you guys to actually see. Instead of me telling you what's going on, I feel like it's far more powerful to show you guys what's going on. So in conjunction with my labs, my blood labs and stuff like that, I feel like the CGM is, showing you guys an entire 24-hour period in real time is probably something pretty significant. But it feels like some of you don't want that on this show, and I'm here to serve. So I just need to know, like, just please comment and let me know if you guys don't want me to show that, because I'm not going to bring it back unless somebody requests it. So if you guys are looking to know, this is what it basically looks like. I'll pull it up here. This is the interface to my continuous glucose monitor, and it just kind of shows you guys what's going on for the past, like for today, what my fasting blood sugars were, everything that I ate, and showing you the dips like 24/7, right? Every 5-minute increments here. So that's what I have. I mean, let me know if that's something you guys want to watch. So let's move forward into your why. So when I say find your why, what do I exactly mean by that? What I mean is that it's a motherfucker to change your life, to reverse type 2 diabetes. It's a complete lifestyle change. And you're going to face weak points, right? You're going to probably want to drink a beer again. You're going to want to cheat. I don't think you should cheat. I think you should treat yourself. But you don't cheat on your wife. You don't cheat on your husband, whatever, depending on what sex you are or whatever kind of sexual practices you practice. You wouldn't want to cheat on your children. You wouldn't want to cheat on your loved ones, the person you've married, or your girlfriend. So why would you cheat on yourself? I don't understand. I hate that word. I want to remove it. But there's many temptations. I talk about the food fuckery circus clown show that we have around us. Once you pop, you can't stop. Pringles and sodas and pizzas, and there's fast food joints everywhere. You're going to go to parties with your family, your friends. Your whole life has changed. So I am like, I'm not normal, I guess. I'm pretty like dead on. Like I can go sit at a bar and watch people get shit faced. It's not my favorite thing to do, but there's not an ounce in me saying, God, like fighting it off where it's like, fuck, I wish I could have a drink right now. God, I wish I could have a drink. I've even had chocolate cake, right? My daughter had a birthday back in February, the boss baby, and they bought this really bitchin' cake with strawberries. I mean, it was decked out. It must have been like $100 cake. These are some rich clients I have, and they just love my daughter and invited us over and sliced up some cake and then slid one right in front of me, a big ass, massive chunk. I'm like, this is enough for like, to probably put somebody like easily 250 milligrams per deciliter, even if you're not diabetic, like just like a half a pound of cake, right? And the frosting, the whole ordeal. And I just simply pushed it aside and I said, oh, thank you. I kind of use I try to keep things short, right? So it's not all weird. One of you guys have mentioned that you never tell people that you've reversed type 2 diabetes. You just say, oh, I'm diabetic. I can't have that. That way it doesn't turn into a long conversation. I thought that was smart. And at that instance, I actually said, yeah, I was diabetic and I got myself back to health, but I don't eat that sort of thing. But thank you. And I sat there just drinking a glass of water, watching everybody drink a big old glass of milk and eat cake with no problem, right? But I know what my why is. And I have a couple of whys. My first one is my children, especially me. My life is a lot different than most people because I have a 17-year-old still in diapers, right? Going to be 18 soon. And I'm going to have this child for the rest of my life. So it's not like she's going to fly the nest and I'm going to be single again, right? I'm a single dad, right? I have a full responsibility of this human being. And I know that she's going to outlive me most likely, right? So I need to figure out what I need to do. So I have an advantage over most people to where I have extra responsibilities. And when you have a special needs kid, there is no, well, maybe, oh, I'm hungover, I can't get up, right? I'm sick. I've been sick on the cerveza sickness where I was dying. Like, I felt like I was dying. Didn't eat for 3 days. All I did was wake up. She'd wake me up, Daddy, I got a poo-poo diaper, and I'd change her. And then I'd feed her something, and I'd just go right back to bed. It was like 3 days, man. I was out. And those were really tough times. But I have it ingrained in me to go to work, make money, wake up every day and actually perform the best that I can, because I have to be. Like, I have to wake up, guys, and like psych myself out, right? Like, look, you're doing this for a reason. I haven't been out on a date or anything in like 8 years. Like, all I do is fucking work, right? So I don't want to make this about me, but I'm just wanting you guys to get this idea of what my why is. So you guys probably, if you have children, if you have some sort of goal, or I don't know, something, you got to find something that you care about, because if you don't fix your situation, you're not going to live as long as what you could. And in fact, it's going to be a slow, painful process, right? Which brings me into what another why is. I have a cousin who lost both of his large toes due to type 2 diabetes. So there's amputations. And when I experience and see shit like that, that's like pretty simple for me, where I'm like, I want to keep my fucking toes, bro. You know what I mean? And then there's things I've never even known that are linked to type 2 diabetes. One is erectile dysfunction. And I did experience that when I was first starting out, way before I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I thought I was just getting old, right? And ever since I've reversed type 2 diabetes, I don't really have that problem anymore. But there's some bigger issues like heart attacks, strokes, and things like that. Guys, it's the sugar in your body is basically getting displaced, especially if you're taking metformin or any kind of these supplements, even apple cider vinegar, berberine, guys. It does not magically get rid of the sugars. It just actually moves them, it stores them. It's like sweeping the garbage under your bed every single day. And sooner or later, that garbage is going to start rotting, and it's going to start accumulating to where, your bedroom's going to stink. That's what's happening in your body. The sugar's going in and rotting all of your organs. So one of the things I did not know until recently, like a couple months ago, was that you can go completely blind. I'm not talking about blurry vision. I'm talking like lose your eyesight forever. It'll rot your eyes so bad that you will never be able to see the light of day again. If that doesn't fucking shake you up, I don't know what will. Now, here's another bad one. Another bad one is called dialysis. And I didn't know about this till about 6 months into diabetes, when I started doing further research. Your kidneys basically rot their organs, right, from all the sugars that are accumulated in them. And what happens is the kidneys can't process all the toxins out of your sugar. They're like filters, I guess. So what happens is dialysis is that your sugar or your blood becomes so toxic and your kidneys aren't working, from my understanding, that you will fucking die. Like, you got to go in and get a blood transfusion. Or it's not a transfusion, but it's basically almost like reverse osmosis, like for your water. They'll stick a needle somewhere in a main artery and suck most of the blood, if not all of it. Like, they'll recycle it out of your body. It goes through a filtration system to clean it up, to get all the particles, the parts per millions, and the toxins and shit out. And then they recycle it back into your body. Some people are so bad that they have to have this done 3 times per week. This just makes me feel sick to my stomach. Like, 3 times. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, that's your day to go to the dialysis center to have your blood pumped out of your fucking body and sent through a filtration system. That is one of the most horrible things. It's so horrible, I guess, that some people are just like, you know what? I'm not doing it anymore. I don't care. And then they end up passing away. It's just too much for them. Is this going to happen to you? I don't know. It depends how bad and how long you live with all this stuff. We're not even talking. We don't even have time to go into all of the details of all the bad shit. That's pretty much, I think we've said enough this evening. Find your why. And every time you want to eat that piece of cake or have that beer or relapse into something, just remember, your problem is not going away. It's not going to magically fucking disappear. All the drugs in the world as well are not going to fix the fucking problem. What's going to happen is your bed's going to get dirty. Your body is going to get dirty. The more and more it gets dirtier, the more and more they're going to want to push more drugs on you with heavier dosages that simply displace it until eventually where you become so sick, all of these other things start to happen. So it's very simple for me. My why is all the fucking above. right? So I ask yourself, if you don't have loved ones that you care about, or loved ones even around, you know, for yourself, you know, a friend of mine, we were talking earlier today where people are like, you know, I don't care, man. Life's short. You know, you don't take anything with you when you die. I'm going to live my life, right? So it'd be one thing if you just disappeared, right? If it was instantaneous. But it's not instantaneous. It's a very slow, rotting process from the inside out. You know, all the things I just mentioned. Slowly, slowly coming. Like, that's not a good way. That's not a good way to go. And I'm here to tell you that having to drink beer and eat fucking birthday cake doesn't make you a happy fucking person. It may give you a pleasure. You may be wonderful. Like, I'm not going to lie. If beer, because nobody loves beer more than me. And I haven't had one in a drop in over a year and a half. Day 500 and what, 42 or whatever it is going on here. But if it didn't have the side effects, I would have probably 40 ounces of Mississippi mud right now, or 32 ounces. They come in the 32. One of my favorite things ever to drink, especially ice cold. First thing in the morning was awesome, right? But I know what those side effects are going to be, right? And it's not good. And that gives me a pleasure for a moment in time. And I'm not going to lie, drinking, everybody would want to be buzzed. You're fucking lying, I think, if you say that you wouldn't like to have a nice, good, clean buzz. Being buzzed feels so wonderful. Why would we not want to have it all the time? That's the fucking problem. You have to learn to be buzzed on life. You have to be able to make things happen, and it will happen for you guys, right? It takes a while. You just got to get that mindset. You have to find your why. And there's plenty of things like fishing and surfing and snowboarding and coloring, painting, writing music, right? Whatever your desires, your hobbies and things that you do, you can do them without alcohol or inebriation of any type. And you can still live a happy fucking life. In fact, I can like guarantee you 1000% you're going to live a lot longer, and you're going to be a lot healthier. You're going to feel a lot better. Guys, I'm almost 50 years old. I got about another 8 months till my 50th birthday, which time don't mean shit to me or age, but I literally feel like I'm fucking 20 years old. Like, my daughter made a joke, says you have the body of a 20-year-old but the face of like a 60-year-old. She was fucking with me. I thought that was funny as my oldest. But yeah, guys, I don't know what to tell you other than I just want to keep making these messages out here. And finding your why is, you know, I didn't give you any tactics. That is a tactic. That is a huge tactic. And really, to end here, I have lots of tactics and methods, tricks, if you will. Like, spit me out some shit I can do today. Like, what kind of meal should I do? What, you know, how do I do this or that, right? I can give you guys those things, but the most strongest tactic is what I just talked about today. If you don't have your fucking why, then why the fuck are you even doing anything, right? If you don't have a why, how are you supposed to stick to a lifestyle change if you don't know what the fuck you're doing it for? So that's what I ask you to ask yourself. What is your fucking why? Why do I want to live? Why should I change all of this? Right? You need to know these things so that it's embedded in your mind for you to think about, right? So I look at two things. I'm going to end this now. It's fucked up, the first one, but what I have done is basically in the back of my mind, I have put dialysis, amputations, blindness, and all of this shit like a fucking postcard to remind me, right? Like a wallpaper on my phone. This is where you're going to go if you relapse. So think about that, right? And the second one that I want to leave you guys with is that I forgot what the fucking second one was. God damn it, and it was good too. Well, anyways, I fucked it all up. This is not polished. Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, I wanted to talk about your why, to put that in the back of your mind. You know, I guess we talked about too, it's like looking at your why of keeping that in the forefront as well. Not just the dismal, you know, the fucked up shit about all this stuff, but keeping what are you aiming for, right? So yeah, with that, I hope that I have helped you guys out, and like, subscribe, all that kind of shit. Share this with somebody who needs to hear this type of message. And guys, we're going to move forward. I'm going to give you more tricks and tactics and things that you guys can do, but it really starts with this one here. This is the most important. And this is the beginning. Like, I have people that I'm working with right now who have asked me to help them, and this is the first question, the first base point that I think it's wise to start with. Nobody wants to do it because it's not sexy, it's not fun, but it's the most powerful thing. Once you find that why, you're unstoppable. So find your why, stick to it, and get to it, brothers. Welcome to the Type 2 Diabetes Brotherhood.